Good afternoon, my name is Jan Brezel and I'm the presenter of today's boardroom briefing. Today we are at EasyJet's headquarters. With me are Marta Kysiak, she is from the corporate strategy team, Nadia Usum, operational director, and Wenna Hicks, a consultant for the firm. Today we'll be discussing the impact of the recession on EasyJet's business plan. I will start this boardroom briefing with a brief introduction on the firm.
EasyJet is a British airline offering their customers low-cost flights across Europe and North Africa and was founded by Greek entrepreneur Stelios Haliano in 1995. Headquartered at London Luton Airport, EasyJet is operating on over 600 routes across 30 countries with a fleet of over 200 aircraft. EasyJet employs over 8,000 people, including 2,000 pilots and 4,500 cabin crew, and served over 55 million passengers last year. Even though EasyJet reported a profit of £225 million last year, the airline is faced with a handful of difficulties. Recently, EasyJet announced shutdowns in growth as it struggles with rising oil prices and taxes. They were also affected by the recent recession.
Ms. Usum, how would you describe the management model that EasyJet is currently using, and did you apply any changes during the recession?
Well, to answer that question, it might be best to have a look at the competing values framework. The rational goal model is defined by control and external focus. It is the dominant model in most organizations, including EasyJet, and has a very clear focus on profit. Of course, EasyJet kept using the rational goal model during the recession. However, to adapt to the current challenge, we put more emphasis on the internal process model to also focus on the stability and control. As a result, EasyJet was amongst the very few airlines that made profit during the global downturn because we focused not only on profit and growth, but also on customer retention and satisfaction.
A strong focus on profit, but also on stability, might be the right way to continue until the fear of a double-dip recession subsides. However, in order to stay competitive, I would advise EasyJet to consider also the open system model that puts more emphasis on innovation and growth.
Marta Kysiak, one can imagine that the success of EasyJet depends heavily on what is going on in the external environment of the company. Which aspects are considered when setting up a business plan, and what are the most influential points?
Well, my team and I always need to take a closer look at the micro-environmental factors of PESTEL. I will just mention the most important ones. Inflation pressure or instability of euro could give rise to adverse pressure on revenue, load factors and residual values of aircraft. Sudden and significant increase in jet fuel's price and foreign exchange rate affect our profits directly. However, the recession not only affects our business model directly, but also indirectly via the consumer disposable income. On the other hand, from the legal point of view, taxes in countries has also an impact on our business.
A key model that is useful to have a good understanding of, to really understand the competitive environment for any organisation, is one developed by Michael Porter. Known as Porter's 5 Forces, it moves the analysis of competition into 5 different areas.
In EasyJet's case, 3 are especially relevant. One looks at the threat of substitutes. New high-speed trains in Europe linking major European cities are seen as the closest rivals to air travel, in addition to coach and ferry services. Another looks at the bargaining power of suppliers. An airline primarily depends on 3 key suppliers: aircraft companies, airports and oil firms, all of which have remarkable bargaining power. The third assesses rivalry amongst existing firms. Low-cost airlines currently have to cope with fierce competitive pressure as previous full-frill airlines are entering the low-cost market. However, EasyJet were among the first low-cost carriers in Europe and therefore benefit from first-mover advantages. In conclusion, industry consolidation could cause a loss of market share and erosion of revenue. Therefore, regular monitoring of competitive activity is key.
Some of our assets contribute strongly to the success of our firm. Some of the key assets that enable EasyJet to achieve sustainable competitive advantage are its system of processes, brand equity and leadership. Employees can contribute to sustainable competitive advantage as EasyJet recruits, develops and retains skilled and talented people. In this respect, effective leadership is imperative for our success.
Well, in my opinion, EasyJet's main weakness is their strategy to seek cost leadership, making the company highly sensitive for price increases in oil and taxes.